First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by WeatherRate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Well, good morning, friends, here around the First Coast and across the country. You know what? We're going to be dealing with some pretty decent thunderstorms as we go ahead over the course of the next few days. So I'm going to break this down for you. We're going to talk about it and how it's going to impact not only the First Coast, but really from the Midwest here today. Places like St. Louis, heading into Omaha, pretty much Illinois, Missouri, Arkansas, all the way over towards Indiana, are all under a decent risk of some strong to severe thunderstorms, powerful enough to even produce some long-track tornadoes. Things like that. And that's going to extend into the Dixie Alley. So we're talking about Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana on our Saturday, all looking at that risk of an increase in severe weather and eventually closer to the First Coast, that is around the Jacksonville area. Excuse me. We're going to be looking at that chance of severe thunderstorms on our Sunday, especially right around lunchtime, heading through early and late afternoon. Once again, as always, I am meteorologist Robert Speta. We are streaming live on FCN Plus. That is on Roku, Fire Stick, your app, your iPhone or Samsung, whatever you use on the app there. Also on YouTube and Facebook, if you want to comment on this video, maybe ask some questions and stuff like that. We're going to try to get through this here. I am exceptionally tired. I had a early morning. Woke up around midnight, 12 o'clock, because I went up and watched the lunar eclipse here. And we'll show some photos from that here in just a few minutes. A lot of our weather watchers sent in some images of that. But let's talk about this. And first, beginning with the Jacksonville area. Look at the 3-day outlook. Here on our Friday, 76 up to 82 degrees on our Saturday. Winds are going to pick up from the south, which will be interesting. If you're heading out to the Players, I know that we have, of course, everything going on out there. They are professionals. I'm sure they can handle a little bit of wind. But it does make things a little bit extra interesting, especially out there on the 17th hole where, a little bit of wind can make a big difference and put the ball into the water. I seen earlier this week on Tuesday, there was actually some pretty gusty conditions, and there was a couple hole-in-ones in the practice rounds, which was kind of cool to see with the wind out there. And I guess at the 17th hole, it doesn't really matter as far as the wind direction because once it gets in there, there's a lot of eddies. It's almost as a little bowl that the wind spin around in. So, yeah, Saturday could be rather interesting. Sunday, it's going to be interesting because the finals for the Players, like the people that are set to possibly win, the top athletes out there, they don't start till 2, which that is when I am anticipating this line of thunderstorms to work its way into the First Coast is around 2 o'clock. So, goodness, that definitely could put a wrench in the whole event there and might even cause a delay as we look ahead through Sunday evening. And dare I say, could it push over towards Monday? It's a possibility if enough rain does fall. The good news out there at TPC Saltgrass, they do drain out fairly quickly. But I digress. Let's get back to what's happening here. And like I said, if you have questions, comments, or anything like that, we are streaming on Facebook and YouTube. You can comment on both of those spots, or you can just watch us and stream on FCN Plus here. But if you see me talking and answering questions, that's where I'm reading them from. Taking a look at our forecast. So, and you know what? This is the signature here today of a deep, mature area of low pressure. Upper level jet stream fueling up over this area here. We got a negatively tilted trough, a lot of upward vertical motion. I'm using all the fancy meteorological talk words to say it's going to be a lot of the thunderstorms out here across the Midwest, especially in that line just north of St. Louis extending into Chicago. And if we look this ahead, you can see the time in the top right of the screen. So we're looking ahead through today here, Friday, 11 o'clock. It moves by St. Louis here. Then overnight, this could be very dangerous for the Chicago area. If you got friends out in that region, I went to boot camp out there in Great Lakes. So they're going to be getting some thunderstorms. This is going to be passing through after midnight. So middle of the night storms in a major metro area like that with the potential of some severe weather as well mixed into that bag. Not going to be great for our friends out there. And then as we look ahead through Saturday morning, the storms continue to raise off there towards Ontario. And then we shift our attention to the south. As we start to see some more energy come in from the Gulf of Mexico, a lot of instability. So places like Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, areas around Louisiana, all here on our Saturday are going to be looking at not only severe storms, but there's going to be, excuse me, a lot of shear in the environment, what we call helicity, which is going to cause that chance of some rotation. And we could be looking at some fairly severe thunderstorms out here, maybe some long track tornadoes as well. So you know what I want to do is I want to explain that difference between watch and warnings, because we're going to be probably around that time there, 10, 11 a.m. on Saturday, getting numerous watches issued from Tennessee down to Mississippi over towards Alabama. And even on Sunday, I wouldn't be surprised if we get some watches. So I want to make sure, because this is in the last severe weather outbreak we had, this was one of the number one questions we did get. What is the difference between a watch and a warning? So let's break that down for you. Severe weather season is approaching, and I think it's important to know what a severe thunderstorm warning really means, because most recently, while I was out surveying storm damage, residents came up to me and told me, it was just over this upcoming weekend, we do have some severe weather conditions coming together that could bring some strong thunderstorms here on the First Coast. And in our last severe weather setup, some people on one of our live streams were asking, what is the difference between a watch and a warning? And it's a fair question. Now remember, a watch means conditions are favorable for something developing as far as severe weather is concerned. A warning means it is currently developing or is currently taking place. Think of if you're baking a cake and you have all the ingredients laid out on a table. That is a watch. Now, if you are currently pulling said cake out of the oven and it's ready to go, that is a warning in simplistic terms. You can stay on top of both of these types of watches and warnings, though, by downloading that First Coast News app, as well as staying weather aware and watching us on First Coast News Plus. I'm meteorologist Robert Speta. Breaking that down there for a little bit, just so you kind of understand the difference. The ingredients for a watch and a warning means, you got to take this seriously. It's something I noticed actually in this. We had a tornado Monday in central Florida, around the Orlando area. A pretty bad one actually out there. EF2 was its rating. And I saw a video of somebody in a car. It's a really incredible video. Somebody's in their car, they're getting hit by the tornado, stuff's flying around them, and from a meteorological perspective, I think it's an amazing video. Somebody asked me, what do you do in that specific scenario? And you just hold on. But the problem was, when this EF2 hit some of these areas, I think it was St. Mary's, Florida here, the tornado warning was already in place for about 30 minutes at that point. So the fact that there was watches that were issued, there was a warning in place for a half an hour, and then somebody was caught in that tornado kind of bothers me. So make sure you're, here we go. That's the damage from that. And, if you're in your home, you can't help it, but there was somebody in the car that was hit by that storm. And make sure you have ways to get notified. So if those watches and warnings are issued in your neighborhood, I would say download the First Coast News app. You're probably already watching this update on it. But at the same time, I don't care what you use, as long as you're not that person getting stuck in their car in the middle of a tornado that's been under a tornado warning for a solid half an hour. There was plenty of lead time. Our friends at the National Weather Service working overtime during that. And there's plenty of lead time leading up to this next event, because we're telling you days ago that there is going to be a severe weather outbreak on Sunday across the First Coast, Saturday across the Deep South. So really no excuses if you are kind of caught up in some of these, but you want to stay weather aware for sure. So let's continue to track the outlook here as we look ahead through the rest of our Saturday. These storms are going to be continuing to shift towards the east. Large supercells. I mean, we have that chance of maybe some long track tornadoes as this pushes on through. And then eventually around the Jacksonville area here. And you can see this is starting. Let's go back a little bit. So that's Sunday at 1 o'clock, passing across the Waycross area, even into Lake City. Of course, this timing can change a little bit just based on how things develop through our Sunday morning. If they pick up the pace or slow down, if you get a low level jet feeding into it, how is the upper level tilt of our upper level trough kind of feeding into this as well. But I think that's going to peak around 2, 3 o'clock before we start to see the energy weaken after that as it pushes by the first coast. And eventually by the time it gets out towards St. Augustine and the Daytona area, the storm's going to weaken, but I am a little worried maybe some supercell development around the Orlando area again as we head into Sunday night. Just because you get some more of that energy kind of building in with that out in that area. So, yeah, plenty to talk about here. Let's talk about Friday, though. The rest of today, if you're here on the first coast, 76 degrees here. One more tranquil day. It's a little bit warmer here across the area. If you do want to check it out, we have the Crew 10 mission. Go up with a Falcon 9 there on a Dragon capsule. Hopefully they can launch today, and they're going to go up and do the regular mission, but that Dragon capsule is going to pick up those 2 astronauts that have been stuck up there for about 9 months now. Is that a live look? Yeah. Nice. Look at this. Our digital director behind the scenes, Andy here, he's always doing an amazing job. That's a live look at the Dragon capsule. And you know what? Right now, they are good to go until at 7:03 p.m. It's going to be just prior to sunset, so I think we're going to have a nice sunset launch here in our forecast. The weather's looking pretty good as well. Few clouds possible, but the winds will be light. So hopefully it does not get scrubbed. It was scrubbed 2 days ago. Despite the good weather, I think there was just something shaky in one of the valves there. And you know what? Space is hard. Space is dangerous, and they don't play around. So if there's even a slight risk of anything failing, they say, you know what? We can get to it later. Billion-dollar, rocket being launched there, and lives are at stake here too. We got 4 astronauts on board, of course. So, they're going to take that serious. But at least as we head through tonight, if you are here on the first coast, you want to look towards the south, or if you feel like venturing out to Titusville, Space View Park, always a great spot to go there and watch these rocket launches for free. You don't have to pay anything to get in. Your tax dollars, I suppose, is what you pay to see these things go up. The advanced science and astronomy and future of mankind, right? By the way, speaking of space, some photos I have for you from our weather watchers. I went out early this morning. Like I said, I woke up at like midnight to go to UNF, the University of North Florida, meet up with the Northeast Florida Astronomical Society, and all took some amazing photos of the blood moon. It's called that because of this. When it is at its full lunar eclipse, what happens is you're kind of getting a sunset on the moon. So the moon goes into the Earth's shadow. Now, remember, the sky is blue, right? Why is the sky blue? Because our Earth's atmosphere basically refracts blue light. So it scatters blue light, I should say. So we see the blue light during the day. So as the light passes through, the light spectrum passes through the Earth's atmosphere, the blue is almost taken out. That's why we see it. So when the moon goes into the Earth's shadow, the red light remains. Kind of get it now? So we get that blood moon, as you say, the red moon. And this happened at about 3 a.m., Pretty cool out there. If you have any photos and you want to share with us, check out our First Coast News Weather Watchers Facebook page or use the Near Me function on the First Coast News app. You can open up the app and just hit Near Me, and you can send us some photos. We love to share it here. These are some of the best ones, but if you check out firstcoastnews.com, we got more information even there as well on it. It was beautiful. So a lot of space news out there today, from the Crew 10 launch to the full lunar eclipse. And plus today, if you're talking about STEM, today is Pi Day. It's not about just apple and cherry pies. It's all about STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Of course, Pi 3.14. Cool stuff. All right. So Saturday here, 82 degrees as we start off our weekend. And on Sunday, of course, those storms are going to be moving in. And that is why you see it on the bottom of the screen here, we have a weather impact alert that is in place at this time due to that widespread rain, severe thunderstorms possible. If you have not already done so, if you're not using it, make sure you download the First Coast News app. Like I said, all I care about is if you have a way to be notified that there are severe storms. If you don't use our app, I mean, that's your choice, but you're here watching us, so I hope you do use our app. It has a good radar on it that you can track these storms, but plus, we have a great digital team here, and I'm not only saying that because one is behind the screen making me look good over here, but we have a good digital team that pushes these alerts out whenever we're streaming. You have those push alerts if there is a severe thunderstorm or a tornado warning in your area. It's just an all-in-one encompassing way to get the latest weather information there. And especially on Sunday, you are going to want it due to that chance of this right here. Scattered showers, severe thunderstorms as this cold front moves in across the First Coast. And you know what? We're talking about these severe thunderstorms. And I want to stress the different levels of severe thunderstorm and tornado warning. So just a moment ago, we were talking about, the differences between a watch and a warning. But did you know that there are levels of severe thunderstorm warning? So it's important to know those differences. Now, a severe thunderstorm is a severe thunderstorm. But once you get to those higher levels, it can escalate and stuff can get very serious. So this is a story beardless Robert put together. That's me. So I look a little younger, a little bit more pale, but yeah, I talk about those differences in the severe weather warnings here. So let's roll on that. Severe weather season is approaching, and I think it's important to know what a severe thunderstorm warning really means, because most recently, while I was out surveying storm damage, residents came up to me and told me, it was just a severe thunderstorm warning, so I shouldn't worry too much. They were surprised when I told them a severe thunderstorm warning means winds of 58 miles per hour are expected to occur. Now, there are different tiers of it, but the minimum is 58 miles per hour or 1 inch in diameter hail, which isn't very common here in Florida. We usually talk about the high winds associated with this. You might be curious why 58 miles per hour is such a random number. It's actually 50 knots. That's nautical miles per hour, but when converted, it's 58 miles per hour, which is more than sufficient to cause significant damage. So next time there is a severe thunderstorm warning in your area, don't panic, but make sure that you do take it seriously. I'm meteorologist Robert Speta, First Coast News, on your side. So yeah, I look a lot younger than that. This is from a year ago. My goodness. But the warnings have not changed. That is all up to date. So let's break this down, our forecast once again here. And you know what? As we were just talking about, we have this storm system developing across the Midwest. It's going to move down towards the south and east, bringing that chance of some severe thunderstorms across, especially Dixie Alley. When I say Dixie Alley, I'm talking about the deep south, Alabama, Mississippi, even extending into Georgia. Or we could have some supercell development on Saturday, maybe some long track tornadoes that will continue overnight, and the same line will roll across the First Coast as we go ahead to about lunchtime on Sunday. I want to show this though, because if we take a look at the Storm Prediction Center's outlook, which somebody said to me this is the most confusing. I get it, because slight feels less than marginal and enhanced feels more than moderate. But just look at this. So it's basically a 6-tier system. 5 actually, low risk doesn't really count. So from marginal, slight, enhanced, moderate, and high. The areas in the red there is a moderate. Now the Storm Prediction Center is some really smart doctors, scientists out there in Oklahoma City. They specialize in severe thunderstorms. And when they put out these outlooks, and usually it's only the green and the yellow, marginal to slight. Sometimes enhanced, and in enhanced, we raise red flags. Moderate to high, though. Moderate to high means high is very, very rare. Moderate is fairly rare when we get that. We only get it a couple times a year. So That is definitely increasing the threat today of severe thunderstorms. This is for our Friday. Like I said, across parts of Illinois, Arkansas, Missouri, extending all the way down towards Tennessee due to this storm system. But then watch this. As it shifts towards the south, we're going to be looking at the energy fueled in out of the Gulf of Mexico, and there's another round of moderate risk of severe thunderstorms from Louisiana, Mississippi, extending into Alabama, and also over towards the Florida Panhandle here on your Saturday. Within that, I do think we could be looking at some supercell development, large tornadoes, things like that. Definitely a possibility. And then overall, this shifts towards the east. Now, by the time it gets closer to the first coast, and good news for Jacksonville, it will be more towards the slight category. So it's not quite as a high risk of supercell development, but it's not zero. And it's not marginal either. Slight is no laughing matter. And definitely we're going to be looking at that chance of some severe thunderstorms with hail and maybe even a spin up or a brief tornado possible, which could cause some damage, which goes back to saying make sure you have a plan. You're not just completely and utterly caught off guard by this. No, you're not hiking out in the woods as these storms roll in, or you're not at the players getting upset because the storms are passing overhead. Make sure your friends and family all know that these storms are setting up. A convective available potential energy, by the way, is called CAPE. That helps us indicate the amount of upward vertical motion in the atmosphere. And you can see here extending across Louisiana all the way out towards Mississippi, Alabama, Missouri. This is at Saturday, 1 a.m. But let's go ahead into Saturday afternoon. In these areas in the darker reds, boy, that indicates extreme instability. And look at that, just that surge that comes into the afternoon as you get that daytime heating across southern Mississippi into Louisiana. Those are the spots I am concerned about for that chance of some damaging tornadoes. And then you can see here on Sunday, it's not quite as high. You don't have those darker reds, but the Florida Panhandle could definitely see some of that increased instability, especially areas closer to the first coast around the Suwannee Valley, maybe even inland southeast Georgia, where we may have some additional shear that could help develop things up just a bit more so as well. So definitely plenty to talk about, but I think our biggest threat is here on Saturday. I know it says Friday in the top. I apologize for that. This is for Saturday, is that tornado risk across the deep south. That's definitely the highest threat, but all that will shift towards the east as we head into Saturday. Sunday, as we head into Sunday. Goodness, got to get my time frames right. Sunday will be the big wet day. That is the big storm day for Jacksonville in the first coast. And I think this graphic illustrates that more than anything. Friday and Saturday still looking pretty decent. Saturday, we're going to have a nice southerly wind, but Sunday is the day that all of this is going to be passing overhead. And we're going to be looking at that chance of some stronger to severe thunderstorms across our area. By Monday on St. Patrick's Day, being a ginger myself, I'm definitely going to go out, and I have the day off. So, woohoo, hooray. Partake in some St. Patrick's Day festivities out here. It's going to be a lot cooler, though. So if you're going to be heading out, especially Monday night, good for you if you're heading out on Monday night. It is going to be chilly. Look at the low by Tuesday morning, 42 degrees in Jacksonville. So we got a nice cool northerly breeze that's going to be setting up. And before we gradually warm back into more classic first coast spring by temperatures by Wednesday heading into Thursday. And that is ahead of our next storm system, though. So these eddies, these ebbs and flows that come through this time of year, it is springtime. So, and with that, springtime means that we have that chance of those severe thunderstorms, which is why, once again, there on our Sunday, we have that weather impact alert that is in place. Let me see if there's any questions. Not really today. Don't have a lot of people asking questions out there today, which is fine. But I will be here on Sunday tracking these storms. Probably Saturday, too. You know what? Saturday, I'll probably try my best to do a live stream, not only about our forecast on the first coast, but also talking about what's happening out west, and maybe we can track some of these tornadoes as they move across Louisiana, Alabama, and we can just educate each other and hopefully help some people out in that area, too, but educate each other on how these tornadoes develop and what their impacts are as they move towards the first coast. And then, of course, on Sunday, we will be tracking them all day here on First Coast News on Good Morning Jacksonville. Myself and meteorologist Lee Southwick will be here. Maybe I might get out there and do a little bit of chasing into the afternoon. Don't do that yourself, but I've done that And hurricanes, typhoons, I say chased. It's more like sit and wait, but I filmed the volcanoes right up close. So have the experience to do that. Make sure, though, you download that First Coast News app and you're being weather aware throughout the weekend. And that is the number one thing I do want to continue to stress. Once again, though, if you have any photos you want to share with us, maybe you want to share some images of the lunar eclipse from last night, use that Near Me function on the app, too. And also check out our First Coast News Weather Watchers Facebook page. But I need to wrap up here by 10:30 a.m. I want to thank everybody for jumping in here on this live stream. And we'll have another one probably this evening at 4 o'clock. Is that right, Andy? Yeah, 4 o'clock. I believe it's just Ross Muma here today. Our chief meteorologist, Tim Deegan's taking the day off. So he will be here discussing these storm systems. And then at 5, of course, we'll have First Coast News. And I'll be on air at noon. You know, we got all the information here on First Coast News Plus. So make sure you're continuing to check back in. All right. Thanks for stopping by.
Hard to stay the most accurate when it comes to forecasting for the First Coast.
You're looking for answers. You need to understand the facts. You want the truth.
So I've been doing this over 42 years. It is not boring.
The First Coast is my home. I grew up here and I worked really hard to get back here.
Because I want you to be ready for what's coming.
You got to make sure you're exactly on point with your forecast.
Being part of the most accurate weather team, we can give you that trust, helping you stay safe.
Every single day, I can become a better forecaster.
You earn someone's trust by showing up every day for them.
Why does it matter in a forecast? Trust isn't everything, it's the only thing.
Consistency with, the accuracy in your forecast.
You're planning your day around it. You're planning your life around the weather forecast.
Every storm.
Every forecast.
We are earning your trust.
Earning your trust is just the beginning. We promise to keep it.
Rely on the team working every day to earn your trust. First Coast News on your side.
Hi, folks. I'm meteorologist Lewis Turner, working here at First Coast News. We're on your side. Been here since 2010, forecasting the weather for Southeast Georgia, for the First Coast and Northeast Florida. And it is a blessing and a treat to get to do it and work here with the First Coast News Weather Channel, which is powered by the First Coast's most accurate weather team.
I love to forecast the weather.
My passion is making sure you are prepared to start your day.
I grew up watching First Coast News. I grew up watching Tim Deegan.
Meteorology is not only my job, it's my hobby.
I love being a meteorologist. I love being a part of your day.
When it comes to a forecast, trust isn't just one thing. Trust is the only thing that matters.
Earning your trust is just the beginning. We promise to keep it.
The First Coast's most accurate weather team, sponsored by AC Designs.
I'm meteorologist Robert Speta, First Coast News on your side. I've been working in meteorology for almost 20 years now, working with the Navy, even at Naval Station Mayport, as well as overseas, inside and covering typhoons, some of the biggest storms on Earth, and taking all of that knowledge back here to the First Coast and in the Jacksonville, and help tracking our hurricanes and severe weather in our neighborhood, knowing how they impact not only our local community, but the military as well. And number one thing, of course, is being on your side, keeping you safe with your most accurate forecast. So make sure you download that First Coast News app, and also you can stream our newscast on First Coast News FCN Plus, as well as any severe weather or special weather coverage as well. I'm meteorologist Robert Speta, First Coast News on your side.
First Coast News on your side with Weather Impact Alert Days. When weather conditions could inconvenience you, let the First Coast most accurate weather team prepare you for Weather Impact Alert Days, highlighted in our forecast days in advance. Trust our forecast to give you more clarity on the days you need to be aware. We're committed to make sure you know what's to come so you can be ready for it. Trust the First Coast's most accurate weather team. Trust Weather Impact Alert Days.
A mild and warm day on tap across the First Coast with those temperatures warming up into the mid-70s. Winds are going to be down here as we go ahead through this afternoon, but the winds will pick up as we go into Saturday. Actually, gusting upwards of 10 to 30 miles per hour at times, and that leads into Sunday with that chance of some strong to severe thunderstorms that'll roll across the First Coast starting around lunchtime and heading into our evening hours. With the most accurate forecast, I'm First Coast News meteorologist Robert Speta.
We're going to call it a weather alert period between 3 and 7.
I love to forecast the weather.
My passion is making sure you are prepared and you are ready to start your day.
I grew up watching First Coast News. I grew up watching Tim Deegan.
Meteorology is not only my job, it's my hobby.
I love being a meteorologist. I love being a part of your day.
Earning your trust. We can't be on your side by just telling you that.
When it comes to a forecast, trust isn't just one thing. Trust is the only thing that matters.
People plan their day around the forecast, and we know that.
We do our best to give you the most accurate outlook, and it's even graded.
I think it's an honor to be a part of the most accurate weather team.
How can I be a better forecaster and better communicator for you?
Every storm,
Every forecast.
Earning your trust is just the beginning. We promise to keep it.
The First Coast's most accurate weather team, sponsored by AC Designs.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Lee Southwick. You're watching the First Coast News Weather Channel. We are proud to have been named the most accurate weather team in Jacksonville for the 5th year in a row by Weather Rate. We take our forecasting very seriously, and we want to get every detail right and accurate. We know weather impacts your day, whether it's going to work, going to school, running errands, going to the beach, or out on the water. You need to know what time that rain is going to arrive, how hot it's going to be, if fog is going to impact you, or if it's windy. And we want to nail it every day for you. We promise to keep working hard to stay the most accurate when it comes to forecasting for the First Coast.
You're looking for answers. You need to understand the facts. You want the truth.
So I've been doing this over 42 years. It is not boring.
The First Coast is my home. I grew up here, and I worked really hard to get back here.
because I want you to be ready for what's coming.
You got to make sure you're exactly on point with your forecast.
Being part of the most accurate weather team, we can give you that trust, helping you stay safe.
Every single day, I can become a better forecaster.
You earn someone's trust by showing up every day for them.
Why does it matter in a forecast? Trust isn't everything. It's the only thing.
Consistency with, the accuracy in your forecast.
You're planning your day around it. You're planning your life around the weather forecast.
Every storm.
Every forecast.
We are earning your trust.
Earning your trust is just the beginning. We promise to keep it.
Rely on the team working every day to earn your trust. First Coast News on your side.